Hey boys, what's going on? It's Ordinary here, bringing you another one of those what to fix in GM mode for NHL 15. And I don't know if you can tell from the screen right here, but what I'm going to be talking about today is the contracts part of GM mode. The biggest thing, I think, here we go to contract screen. The biggest thing that needs to be fixed or just changed is negotiations. Like right now, there's absolutely zero negotiations. All you do is you go in, you find whatever players you want to re-sign. You can sort them by if they don't have a contract or whatever. Boom, boom, boom. Here's your players. You click on them, and you figure out what you want to give them. Boom. The entire process takes about 10 minutes. If you want to take a long time, it takes 10 minutes. And there's not a lot of thought and effort put into it. Here's, I think, some of the biggest issues with the negotiation process. Let's take a look at, who do I have free agent right now? This guy, Thomas Pavelka. So if we negotiate a new contract with him, he's looking for $6.99 million. You can toggle this, and it shows you the different salary that he'll want depending on how many years you give him. We're going to stick it on 3. And here's the thing with contracts, you guys. If you pop open any kind of calculator you got going on your phone or on your computer, all you have to do is times Buddy's contract by 0.85, so you're taking 15% off. So he wants 6.99. If you times that by 0.85, you get 5.9415. So if you go like this, 5.9415, so it'll be that. That will go through, and this won't. And I'll just show you what I mean here. I'll offer him this contract. Skip a day. He decided to reject the contract renewal, but if we go in and we give him his 5.945, skip the day, you will see that, come on, a little bit of loading, that it was an easy decision to renew his contract with us. So that would be problem number 1, I'd say. It's way too easy to pick what to give these guys. There's no thinking to it. What it should be, in my opinion, is depending on the player, they're going to want different things, right? So some players should focus more on the term. So if they want a 3-year deal at 6.9 like he was, say he's really focused on the term, and then you go into his player bio or whatever, and you can see that that's what he's focused on for his contract. That's what he's interested in, is getting this term on his contract. So you can give him the 3 years, but you can knock him down 20%. And it doesn't say, there's no number that's going to be the same every time. It's not going to be 20% every time. It's not going to be 15% every time. It's going to be different. But if he's focused on wanting a specific term, then he's willing to take a knock on the money, and vice versa. So maybe he's really into getting that 6.9. So he's willing to take maybe a year or two in either direction. So maybe you can give him a 1-year deal for 6.9 or a 5-year deal for 6.9. You gotta find the balance there with realism, because obviously longer contracts for players that are getting better, it's going to be a steep incline, right? But it shouldn't be show you what the player wants and then minus 50%. That's just it's a little crazy that it can be exploited that easy. It maybe shouldn't even show what they're wanting for different amount of years. It should just show you what salary they want or what term they want, maybe not even both, and just leave it to the player to actually make some of these decisions instead of just mindlessly clicking through and doing some easy math. The second issue is probably with restricted free agents. You can see that this guy's an 85 overall. He's 22 years old. If we look at his stats, he hasn't ever really done anything. 2 years ago, he got 47 points, which wasn't bad. This year, he only got 29, and in his rookie year, he only got 23. So, if we're judging off of his stats here, he's definitely he's in between a third and a fourth liner. I mean, he's got a good overall, but he's definitely not putting up stats. He had a good year here. That's good for a second liner, maybe 47 points for a two-way forward, killing off penalties and stuff like that. But 29 and 23, like if this was his contract year and he got 29 points, let's see what kind of contract he's going to want. Negotiate new contract. So he's looking for $6.625 million coming off a 29-point year. And if you guys just give me a second, I'm going to pause the video here. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I'm back. I was just pulling up some of the 29-point players on CapGeek. So I went to NHL. I found some players that got 29 points last year. Sean Bergenheim from the Florida Panthers, he got 29 points last year. He is on a $2.75 million cap hit contract it's a 4-year deal. He's right in the middle of that one. Antoine Roussel from the Dallas Stars, he's in his entry-level contract. So it was $625,000. Same with Zach Cassian, he was on his entry-level contract. So that was $810,000. Players like Danny Heatley, you can't really count him because he was on an insane contract. But so Zach Cassian and Antoine Roussel, those are players that were on their last year, their entry-level contract, that had 29 points last year. Do you think that those guys are going to be looking for $6.5 million contracts coming up next season? Absolutely not, right? They have yet to prove themselves. I mean, they could become really good players, but there's no way in hell that these guys are going to be asking or getting $6.5 million contracts, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So just a sec, I'm going to give this guy, do a little cheap glitch here and give him his 15% off. So he wants 5.535. And I know you can say like, oh, well, just don't do the math, right? But if it's there, I mean, people are going to do it regardless. It's not about not doing it. I mean, when I record my my videos and stuff, I don't do the math like that. I just eyeball it. But I mean, I know roughly where I have to be. If it's like a $7.5 million contract, I know I can take off just over $1 million, right? Like it's just math. That's how it works out. So yeah, I don't think that RFAs that have yet to prove themselves should be able to command a $6.5 million contract. Another issue would be players that don't perform well in their contract year. So I don't know if I have any players like that. Let's check out Mirco Mueller. So he had 20 points as a defenseman. It's been his worst year in his contract. He's 31 years old. So yeah, this would be an example of a player that kind of had a shitty contract year, especially if we're going to go over to defensemen and see how this team performed this year. So Roland McCowan, he had 40 points, so he did much better. What kind of contract is he on right now? He's on a $7.5 million contract. He's my highest paid defenseman. Spruill had 25 points, so it's slightly more than what Mueller had. He's also a UFA, so I can't exactly show you what he's making. Pavelka, we just signed that guy, but he had a 37 point season in his contract year, which was better than his last season and kind of somewhere in between where he was performing before. Edler, one of my RFAs, he had a 20-point season. So he had a 20-point season also, and he's on a $4 million contract. Pat David, another one of my potential players, he had a 43-point season, and he's on a $5.5 million contract. So that's kind of to give you, what's it called, like a ballpark of where we are for players that are performing like this. Slightly over 20 points, $5.5 million. And then these guys also did better, and they're at $4 and $5.5 million. So based on what my other defensemen are making, if Mueller is looking kind of like a bottom six guy at this point, because McCown's going to do better, Pavelka did better, Edler did better, and David did better. So even if Sproul did way worse, Mueller is going to be in the bottom pairing next year, assuming. Edler's going to get a jump, David's going to get a jump, and that puts Mueller down in the bottom, right? So he's projected to get maybe even get 25 points, but ballpark of what the rest of my defense are making, I would offer him, let's go with, I'll even be generous and give him 5.5, which is better than he should be making. It's less than these two guys, but it's like respectably makes sense that it's less than those two guys. So let's see what he wants. So he wants $7.715 million coming off a 20-point season in his contract year. We can look at his stats, his categories here. He's definitely not a bad player by any means. He's got really good defensive awareness, so he could be really good at killing off penalties and stuff like that. But what was his plus minus? I mean, it's not a good stat to judge people off of, but we don't have Corsi or any advanced stuff. So he was only a plus 5 as a really defensive two-way defenseman, and he's looking for $7.7 million. That's kind of ridiculous, and there's no way that that's going to fly in real life, especially because that's more than my number one defenseman is making, and this guy's slated to go on the bottom pairing, right? So that would be another issue that I have with contracts. And lastly, it's not really to do with these negotiations, but you can't give extensions in this game. In real life, you'll notice that most of the time, players don't make it to free agency. They're negotiating with their GM all season long, and they usually work out a deal. If the GM wants them to stay on the team, they'll have that deal in place before the next season even starts, before the off season even hits, actually. And that's not an option with this game. Say I'm liking how Edler's playing, or actually, let's go with David because he's been crushing it. He had 43 points. I'm thinking that's really good. He's an 84. I'm thinking he's going to get a little bit better. Maybe I wouldn't do it to him because his contract's going to go for a while. So we will go with Edler. He has 1 year left on his deal. Why can't I offer him a contract right now? If I click on him, it's only buyout or cancel. There's no extend option up there, which why not, right? There's also no option to change the amount of money that they're making year after year. And with the new CBA, I don't know exactly how it works, but you can't make too crazy of a jump. But you see it all the time. Players' cap hit annually is different. So say I give Mueller his, let's say it was $7.5 million. Or let's even say it was $7 million for 3 years. That's going to take you up to $21,000 for 3 years. It doesn't necessarily have to be $7 million, $7 million, $7 million, right? What's stopping me from giving them $8 million, then $7 million, and then $6 million, right? That's something you see all the time that GMs are giving to their players, and I feel like that should be in the game as well. And the last thing I'd say, guys, is that there's no option for a hometown discount. You know what I mean? Some players are going to want to take that pay hit to stick with the team that maybe drafted them or that they've been playing with for a long time. Some players aren't going to want to re-sign. Those are two factors that you see all the time. More so people wanting to stay than people wanting to leave, but people do want to leave their teams. You see it. Not all the time, but you see it. Daniel Alfredson last year left for a chance at the Cup. Like, players are going to want to go if they're in their prime to a Cup contending team. Pretend my team was dirt. We made the conference finals and we lost. We lost in the conference finals this year, but pretend that wasn't the case. I have players like, where's age? Players like Rudolph Cerveni's 36 years old. He's not getting any younger. He had a really good season for me this year. If we check, yeah, 86 points. If I didn't have a good season, if I was bottom of the league, Buddy's not going to want to stick around and play on my team, right? No matter, unless I give him a huge deal. He wants Jesus, he wants a big contract. He wants 8.7 million. He's not going to stick around unless I give him, let's say, 9.7 million, maybe even more if my team was dirt, right? Like, players are going to want to go to different places depending on where they are in their careers. If you have a 24-year-old player on your team, maybe he's 4 gold stars or something, but you have too much center depth. Let's see if I have an example on this team I can show you with. T. Wood. I just signed this guy, or I just drafted this guy. So let's pretend we're 2 years in the future. He hasn't gotten any better. He's 80 overall. Mowers is still my second-line center. McDavid's still my first-line center. He's going to want to get out of here. He's not going to want to be playing third-line time as like a 83 overall forward. He's going to want his second-line time. And unless you give him a huge contract, he's not going to want to stick around, right? So depending on where players are in their career, they're going to want to sign on your team or they're going to want to sign somewhere else. Pretend I didn't have Mowers and it's his turn to re-sign his contract. He knows he's guaranteed his second-line ice time here. He's probably going to be willing to take a little bit of hit on his contract, right? So, yeah, that's kind of where I stand on this contract screen here. Let me know what you guys think in the So yeah, guys, that's kind of what fuck me. So yeah, guys, that's kind of where I stand on the whole contract screen. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. If you like my ideas, if you have anything to add, I'm sure I skipped over something. If you think one of my ideas was dirt, let me know, and let me know why. Otherwise, if you could press like and sub to the channel, that would be fantastic, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.